Welcome to the delightful world of tomatoes, a journey full of flavor and surprises. Are you curious about the journey that leads to the creation of the zesty, delightful tomato ketchup gracing your meals? In today's adventure, we'll unravel the secrets behind the making of tomato ketchup, tracing its path from sun-kissed fields to becoming the perfect companion for your fries. Tomatoes are more than just delicious fruits. They're really important for farming around the world and are a big part of many foods we eat. You might be surprised to learn that China grows more tomatoes than any other country, with India and the United States also growing a lot. Tomatoes have an interesting story too. They first grew in South America, and a long time ago, people in Europe thought they were not safe to eat. Now we know that tomatoes are full of good things like vitamins C and K, potassium, and folate. They're great in salads and pasta sauces, but they're also the main ingredient in ketchup, a sauce that lots of people love. Whether it's making your salad healthier or adding flavor to your favorite snack, tomatoes are amazing in so many ways. Plus, their bright red color and juicy taste make every dish look and taste better. 1. Harvesting tomatoes. Our adventure starts in the beautiful fields full of tomatoes. The best time to pick tomatoes changes depending on where you are, but it's often from the end of summer to the beginning of fall. That's when tomatoes are perfectly ripe and full of great taste and healthy stuff. Nowadays, farmers use cool technology to help them know exactly when each tomato is ready to be picked. They use machines and sometimes even drones to check on the tomatoes. This helps them pick the tomatoes without squashing them and make sure every tomato is just as good as it can be. Also, picking tomatoes at the right time means they have more vitamins and are better for you. Plus, did you know that the color of a tomato can tell you a lot about its taste and how ripe it is? The deeper the red, the sweeter and richer the flavor. After being harvested, these tomatoes are then transported to the factory, where they begin their transformation into delicious ketchup. 2. Sorting and washing. After the tomatoes are picked, they go on a short trip to a special place called the processing facility. This is where they get checked and cleaned up. First, there's a strict sorting process. Workers and machines look at every tomato. They check for the right size and color and make sure there are no bad spots. Only the very best tomatoes get chosen to become ketchup. The others might be used for different things like soups or sauces. Once the top tomatoes are picked, they get a really good wash. They're cleaned in water to get rid of any dirt, leaves, or anything else that shouldn't be there. This washing is super important because it makes sure the tomatoes are clean and safe to eat. After that, the tomatoes are gently dried so they're ready for the next step. This whole process is key to making sure that the ketchup we eat is not only yummy but also clean and good for us. 3. Pulping. After the tomatoes are cleaned, they get ready for the next big step, turning into pulp. First, they are lightly cooked and cut into pieces. This makes it easier to take out the parts we don't need, like seeds, skins, and stems. There are special machines called cyclones that spin the tomatoes around to separate the juicy pulp from everything else. Some of this pulp is saved as a thick paste, which can be used later in the year when fresh tomatoes aren't available. Most of the pulp, though, goes on to be made into ketchup. It's put through filters and screens that make sure it's smooth and just right. Now here's where things get interesting. Different brands of ketchup taste a little different because they add their own mix of spices and flavors. Some brands might add more sugar and spices, which makes the ketchup thicker and richer. Others might go for a tangier taste. Also, making ketchup isn't always exactly the same. The tomatoes might be a bit different each year because of the weather and where they grow. So the recipe for ketchup might need small changes to keep the taste and quality consistent. This means adjusting for how sweet or sour the tomatoes are each season. It's a bit like being a kitchen detective, making sure every bottle of ketchup is just as good as the last. 4. Adding ingredients and cooking. Next, the tomato pulp is on its way to becoming ketchup. It's moved into big cooking tanks, sometimes called kettles, where it's heated up until it's boiling and kept really hot, at least over 80 degrees Celsius. Now it's time to add the special ingredients that give ketchup its unique taste. We mix in just the right amount of sugar, vinegar, salt, and a variety of spices and flavors. Here's a little secret. To make sure the ketchup tastes perfect, we don't add the fragrant oils from the spices right at the start. If we did, they might evaporate because of the heat. So we wait until just the right moment. Also, we often use dried onion or garlic powders, which come from different suppliers, to add more flavor. Inside these cooking tanks, there are blades that keep moving around, mixing everything together. This mixing goes on for about 30 to 45 minutes. During this time, it's super important to keep an eye on the temperature. If it's too hot, the ketchup might overcook. But if it's not hot enough, the flavors won't blend together properly. So careful temperature control is key to making sure the ketchup tastes just right. 5. Finishing. After the ketchup mixture is all cooked and flavored, it goes through one more important step called finishing. This is done using a special machine known as a finisher. What the finisher does is pretty cool. It uses screens to take out any bits of fiber or small particles that are left. This is how ketchup gets that smooth, silky feel that we all like. To make the ketchup even smoother, sometimes it's milled. This means it's ground up finely. This is done at higher temperatures and pressures, so the ketchup ends up smooth without any lumps or bits in it. It's all about getting that perfect texture that makes ketchup so good on our fries, burgers, or whatever else we love to put it on. 6. Removing air. The next step in making ketchup is getting rid of any air trapped in the sauce. This is called de-aerating. It's an important step because air can cause problems. If there's too much air in the ketchup, it might change color or allow bacteria to grow, which we don't want. Also, air pockets can make it hard to seal the ketchup bottles properly. So how do we remove the air? The ketchup is put through a special process that gently takes out the air without affecting the ketchup's taste or quality. This makes sure the ketchup stays fresh and tasty for a long time, and the bottles can be sealed tightly. By removing the air, we keep the ketchup looking good and safe to eat, from the factory to your table. 7. Filling. Now comes the part where the ketchup gets put into bottles or containers. This is a really careful process. First, the ketchup is kept really hot, at least 88 degrees Celsius, when it moves from the big storage tanks to the filling machines. Keeping it this hot helps to stop any germs or contamination from getting into the ketchup. Then, the containers are quickly filled with the hot ketchup. Right after they are filled, they are sealed super tight. This fast sealing is important because it traps the freshness and taste of the ketchup. This way, when you open a bottle of ketchup, it tastes just as good as it did when it was made. Ketchup doesn't just come in one type of bottle or packet. It comes in all sorts of sizes and shapes. You might have seen big bottles in stores, smaller ones in restaurants, or even tiny packets you get with takeout food. Each kind of container is made to be just right for how it's going to be used, whether it's for a family's kitchen or a single serving with your fries. 8. Cooling. After the ketchup is all bottled up, it needs to cool down. This cooling part is really important. If the ketchup stays too hot for too long after it's been cooked and bottled, it could lose some of its yummy flavors. This is something called stack burning. Basically, the ketchup gets too hot and starts to taste a bit off. To stop this from happening, the filled ketchup containers are cooled down either with cold air or cold water. It's like giving the bottles a little time to relax and settle. This cooling helps keep all the good flavors locked in. So when you open a bottle of ketchup at home, it tastes just as great as it's supposed to. Nice, fresh, and full of flavor. 9. Labeling and packing. The last step in making ketchup is getting it ready to go to the stores. Each ketchup container gets a label with lots of useful information. The label tells you what's in the ketchup when it was made, where it was made, and how long it's good to use. This way, you know everything about the ketchup you're using. Before the ketchup is sent out, it might be checked one more time. This is just to make sure everything is perfect, that the ketchup tastes good, the bottles are sealed right, and the labels are all correct. The cool thing is that making ketchup from start to finish usually takes only about 2 to 3 hours. That means in just a short amount of time, tomatoes from the field are turned into the ketchup we love. Then it's all packed up and ready to be shipped to stores and restaurants where we can buy it and enjoy it with our meals. So that's the story. From a humble tomato growing in the field to the ketchup on your meal. It's a fascinating mix of taste, advanced technology, and real dedication. The next time you use ketchup, think about the amazing process it went through to get to your table. Thank you for coming along on this tasty journey with us. If you found it interesting to learn about how tomato ketchup is made, please remember to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe for more journeys into the world of food. Keep discovering the amazing stories behind the foods we love until we meet again.